Hi, I'm Bruce Buffer, your voice of the UFC Octagon, and you're watching FightPlay.tv.
Here from FightPlay.tv. Next to me I have George Sallfeldt, the chairman of the Swedish MMA Federation. George, I'll just drop the classical question, because definitely there has been a lot of commotion, there has been a lot of feelings going on. How do you feel now once the weigh-ins are done?
Well, listen, when the UFC came out that they wanted a 5-round bout in Sweden with Alexander Gustafsson, we worked very hard to make that come true. The Swedish MMA Federation doesn't have that possibility to sanction a bout like that. We have to go to a government entity called the Martial Arts Delegation, and they rule on that. And so far there has been no 5-rounder in Sweden. So there was a lot of work that went into getting that opportunity, and we managed to do that. For the first time in Sweden we would have a 5-rounder. And then obviously, as you know, the fight was pulled, and I think we all feel the same. We're devastated, and it doesn't feel good, but we are ruled by Swedish law. We're governed by Swedish law here, and the law stipulates that the doctors can stop the fight if they deem that that an injury is bad enough to stop the fight. So that's where we are now, and not much we can do about that, unfortunately, or that's the way it is. It would have been very good for us to have a 5-rounder in Sweden, because obviously I think all the Swedish fans would like to see a title fight at some point in Sweden. And having had a couple of 5-rounders would have given us the opportunity to actually have that, to actually see that. Having the first 5-rounder as a title fight would have been more difficult. So, it's a setback for us in terms of developing the sport. But there will be another day. We will do it again. We'll see it. We will see it in Sweden.
As you went into this, I mean, there has been a lot of hard work going back into this. Tell me, obviously, you have been in close contact with the UFC and the ones in charge. What were the options? I don't know if you can go on record on this, but what were the options that were spoke about? I mean, like alternative fighters or other methods to decide what to do with the event?
Yeah, listen, the promoter and the matchmaker are the ones that decide on the matches. We don't interfere in that. We handle the rules and the regulations around it. So you have to ask the UFC about that. I don't know. Obviously, we've been communicating, and they're disappointed, and they've shown that. And we respect that, obviously. But again, there's nothing we can do in this situation. We're governed by Swedish law, and it's clearly stipulates that the doctors will decide this. So.
And obviously, I understand that you're telling me that the promoters are, they have the final call on certain things. However, where do you stand? I mean, I don't want to be the one who asks the too rough questions, but I still have to ask them. And one question is the fact that, how do you take on Dana White's, the way that he went out on Twitter and basically said, that was the most ridiculous reason to, stop a guy from fighting?
Well, listen, he made a comment about that decision. That's his prerogative. If he wants to comment on that, that's his choice. For me, I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I couldn't make that call. I've seen photos. I wasn't in the country when this was happening, so I didn't meet Alex. But I've seen 2 photos: one with an open wound, and the other one with a wound glued shut or sutured shut. But I don't know. I'm not a doctor, and it's that's why we have these professionals there to make that call. And I can only be disappointed, and that's it. And if Dana wants to comment on it, he's free to do that, of course, like anybody. That's it's a free country, right?
Now we have that past us, and we have all of a sudden some kind of a hero coming up, taking the fight on a very short notice. From everything bad, the saying is that there's always something good coming out of it. For you as a chairman of the Swedish MMA Federation, for you as obviously as a fan of MMA, what good has come out of, you know, the events that has been going on since the drop of Alex from the fight card?
Well, of course, it's good for this individual athlete to get this chance. It's a dream come true, probably, and I mean, especially if he were to win, that would be you know, an amazing story. But you know, we don't really look at it that way. We want to make sure that, you know, every bout is successful, and that you know, nothing bad happens, that the infrastructure of the sport is kept intact, and that the reputation of the sport keeps on growing and developing in a positive way, you know. So you know, we don't really look at individual events as such and say, oh, this could have been better in terms of, you know, who should have fought who, you know. That's not really up to us.
And finally, with all these things behind us, I would like you to put some things in perspective. This is the second time around the UFCs in Sweden, and around the same, you know, climate change and the weather. What would you say was, you know, what was the difference between the first event that was kept here and now the second one? How has the, you know, Sweden grown as an MMA community, and also what differences have you noticed?
I just spoke to one of the bigger mainstream media channels here, Expressen, and they say that they've seen a lot of interest when they write about MMA. So there seems to, you know, it seems to have expanded even more in terms of interest since last year. And I think we saw at the weigh-ins quite a lot of people. And if you compare to other events out in Europe, I think, you know, there's substantial interest here. In terms of you know, when the UFC were here last time, for us, you know, they're very professional. They do everything by the book. They know all the rules. So, and it's exactly the same now. You know, they comply with everything professionally, like the other promoters that do this, you know, every week. So.
And finally, on a note of being like a bit personal, the fact that, you know, you ask fighters at times, you know, how do you handle hardships, how do you handle commotion? You as a chairman with a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, what kind of sense, of a personal sense, do you go into? I mean, when there are issues going on where everybody has to panic and where, you know, people have to lean on you to, you know, for you to call the shots.
Yeah, but I think it's like in any job, you know, you will have situations that come up that are more difficult than others, and you just have to work through them. I think that's the same for you. It's the same for anybody. You know, obviously this situation wasn't something anybody wanted to see happen. Now it came, and we had to deal with it. And we will, and we're doing it. And the way things are set up here might be a bit different from other places, but we have to, you know, we have to work with what we've got here. That's the only way we can have these events here.
So, with me, I've had George Sallfeldt, presented as chairman of the Swedish MMA Federation. Thank you, George, and good luck tomorrow as a final call.
Cheers. Thank you.